losing it to Silk. Now Petrov controls, back to Varlamov, skating in on the left side. Into the American.
Ever find yourself reminiscing about the good old days? Well, you're in for a treat. Today we're delving into the 30 most nostalgic things that only baby boomers will remember. Let's begin. Number 30, tuning into I Love Lucy. Let's kick off our journey with a classic, I Love Lucy. Imagine this, it's 1951, TV sets are still a luxury, and you gather around the tube to witness the hilarious acts of Lucy Ricardo, played by the incomparable Lucille Ball. Lucy was a middle-class housewife, perpetually caught in uproarious situations alongside her heavily accented Cuban husband, Ricky Ricardo, played by Desi Arnaz. Who would have thought that a zany redhead and her bandleader husband could redefine the sitcom landscape? Fast forward 65 years, and here I am, trying to capture the magic that Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz brought to our screens. Premiering on October 15, 1951, I Love Lucy was a groundbreaking show that showcased the real-life dynamics of a married couple navigating the challenges of both love and showbiz. Now, it's more than just a TV series. It's a timeless classic that has refused to fade into the oblivion of forgotten shows. The legacy of Lucy's comedic genius and Ricky's suave charm still shines as brightly as it did when we first tuned in. Number 29, S&H Green Stamps. Let's dial it back a bit and dive into the world of S&H Green Stamps. Ah, the joy of collecting those little green treasures that held the promise of exciting rewards. Back in the day, deciding what to do with a book of S&H Green Stamps was no small feat. It was a major life decision. A new set of dishes, a toy guitar, or perhaps something from the mysterious S&H catalog. The options were endless. S&H Green Stamps, short for Sperry and Hutchinson Company, were the OG trading stamps that took the U.S. and Europe by storm. Founded by Thomas Sperry and Shelley Byron Hutchinson in 1896, this company had humble beginnings before becoming a nationwide sensation in the 1930s. Retailers would distribute these green stamps as rewards for loyal shoppers, creating a nationwide craze. Imagine diligently collecting these stamps into booklets, carefully wetting the adhesive on the back to stick them into the pages. It was like a sticker album for grown-ups, but with the promise of tangible rewards. These booklets were then redeemed for goodies featured in the S&H catalogs, adding an extra layer of excitement to the whole experience. And let's not forget those S&H centers across Alabama, the go-to spots for stamp enthusiasts to claim their hard-earned rewards. Number 28, driving into the movies. Now let's cruise down memory lane to a time when movie magic happened on four wheels. We all remember drive-in movies, a golden age experience that only the baby boomers truly remember. Who can forget the thrill of watching classics like The Pink Panther or the original Parent Trap right from the comfort of their car seats? Can we please bring back these cinematic gems? For many, the drive-in theaters were more than just a place to catch a film. They were a symbol of simpler times. Families would pile into station wagons, armed with blankets and snacks, ready for an evening under the open sky. The nostalgia of drive-ins takes us back to an era where the joy of a double feature was only matched by the excitement of being outdoors, surrounded by the magic of cinema. And here's the beauty of it. Drive-ins weren't just a blast from the past. They were a smart choice for moviegoers concerned about health and safety. No crowded indoor spaces, just the freedom to enjoy the cinema experience under the stars. Number 27, taking part in Beatlemania. Let's talk about the swinging 60s and the phenomenon that shook the world, Beatlemania. If you were a participant and a fan of this electrifying era, then you're definitely a boomer with stories to tell. The Beatles burst into global superstardom around 1963, and the hysteria that followed is still an iconic chapter of the time. So, where are those old Beatles records hiding? During the late 60s, the Beatles, John Lennon, George Harrison, Paul McCartney, and Ringo Starr were already a household name across the pond. But it was their gig on The Ed Sullivan Show that truly ignited the Beatlemania wildfire in the United States. Capitol Records backed their upcoming record, and even Walter Cronkite reported on the Beatlemania phenomenon, putting England on the map in a whole new way. The scene is set, a packed house of giddy teenagers, the infectious tunes of All My Lovin' and Till There Was You filling the air, and then bam, She Loves You sent the crowd into a frenzy. The Beatles returned for a second set, belting out I Saw Her Standing There, and the chart-topping I Want to Hold Your Hand, nearly drowned out by screams of joy from the adoring audience. Number 26, watching Wide World of Sports. Let's dive into the thrilling world of ABC's Wide World of Sports, a show that was the talk of the town. Airing from its debut in April 1961 until its curtain call on January 3, 1998, every Saturday on ABC, this show was a sensation. Who can forget that nail-biting episode on February 5, 1976, when Evel Knievel, the two-wheeled daredevil, pulled off one of his jaw-dropping jumps? Evel Knievel, a founding father of the X Games. You bet. Jim McKay, the charismatic host, held the reins until 1987, with later co-hosts like Robin Roberts and Frank Gifford joining the action. But what set this show apart was its global reach and quirky competitions. From cliff diving in Acapulco to wrist wrestling in Petaluma, sky flying in Falun, Sweden, and even demolition derbies in Islip, Long Island. Wide World of Sports brought the world's most eccentric competitions right to your living room. Now let's turn back the clock to those lazy Saturday afternoons spent glued to the TV, witnessing barrel jumping on ice in the Catskills or roller skating in Madrid. Number 25, witnessing the miracle on ice. All right, sports fans, buckle up because we're about to relive one of the most iconic moments in sports history, the miracle on ice. Sure, the 2004 Disney movie Miracle gave younger generations a taste, but nothing beats witnessing this miracle unfold in real time. It all went down on February 22, 1980, during the Winter Olympics in Lake Placid. The U.S. hockey team, considered the underdogs, faced off against the seemingly untouchable Soviet Union team in the semifinals. Rewind to a week before the games, and the USSR dominated the USA 10-3 in an exhibition game at Madison Square Garden. The hockey world expected an easy skate to gold for the Soviets. But here's the twist. The American players were no slouches. Contrary to a myth of a ragtag bunch of guys, they were a formidable team. According to Allen, author of Star Spangled Hockey, celebrating 75 years of USA hockey, the miracle match was more than just hockey. It was a political and ideological showdown, reminding America of its greatness. Number 24, watching the Wild West world of Bonanza. It's time to take a walk back in time to the Wild West world of Bonanza. Back in the day, this show was a sensation for a unique reason. It was one of the first programs that let you experience the Old West in color. The catch? You had to befriend someone with a color TV. Chips in hand, you were all set for a Stetson-sporting, gunslinging, drawl-talking good time. Premiering on September 12, 1959, Bonanza came a decade after The Masked Man and his Native American sidekick graced the television screens with their vigilante justice. This was an era when audiences craved family-friendly programming, and shows like Leave It to Beaver, Daniel Boone, and of course Bonanza delivered just that. Entertainment that resonated with both adults and children, sticking to the moral values of the time. Number 23, getting your mail twice a day. Take a trip back in time to the days when you could count on the postman to drop by not once, but twice a day. According to the USPS, residential homes enjoyed this luxury up until around 1950. Those mail carriers must have been the fittest folks in the neighborhood. Now think about it. In the early 1950s, sending a letter first class cost you a whopping 3 cents, and for airmail, you shelled out a pricey 6 cents. The post office even provided directory service to correct addresses, ensuring your mail reached the right destination. And yes, mail was delivered to your house twice a day. Imagine the joy of receiving letters in the morning and another batch in the afternoon. Businesses, you lucked out even more with thrice daily deliveries until the 1970s. Number 22, marveling at electronic calculators. Let's crunch some numbers, shall we? Before the era of electronic pocket calculators, scientists and engineers relied on the trusty slide rule, dating back to the 17th century. However, these tools were bulkier than a backpack and cost more than a small fortune. Fast forward to 1967, and enter American innovators Jack St. Clair Kilby, Jerry Merriman, and James Van Tassel from Texas Instruments. What did they bring to the table? The Pocketronic, the world's first pocket-sized calculator. This technological marvel revolutionized mathematical calculations, thanks to the groundbreaking monolithic integrated circuit, commonly known as a computer microchip. Number 21, playing with a Howdy Doody doll and watching his show. It seems like a lifetime ago when we spent Saturday mornings glued to the TV screen, eagerly awaiting the adventures of Howdy Doody and his colorful cast of friends. The Howdy Doody Show wasn't just a children's program, it was a cultural phenomenon that captured the hearts and imaginations of kids across America. You see, back in the 1950s, television was still in its infancy, and Howdy Doody was at the forefront of this new medium. Created by Big Brother Bob Smith, the show debuted on NBC in 1947, transitioning from a radio program called the Triple B Ranch to television as Puppet Playhouse, before settling on the Howdy Doody Show. But it wasn't just about entertainment. Howdy Doody wasn't just a puppet, he was a marketing tool. The show helped sell television sets to parents eager to bring the magic of the small screen into their homes. And let's not forget the influence it had on advertisers, who saw the potential of reaching a captive audience of children during commercial breaks. Number 20, dialing a rotary phone. Remember the days when making a phone call required a little extra effort? That's right, we're talking about the beloved rotary phone. For baby boomers, dialing a phone number wasn't just a mundane task, it was an art form. With its circular dial and satisfying click, 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 the rotary phone was a staple of households for decades. But let's be real, it wasn't always the most efficient way to make a call, especially if you had a number with lots of nines and zeros. One wrong move, and you'd have to start all over again. But despite its quirks, the rotary phone was a beloved piece of technology that connected families and friends for generations. It was the centerpiece of many living rooms, a symbol of communication and connection in a simpler time. Of course, the rise of push-button telephones in the 1980s spelled the end for the rotary phone, consigning it to the annals of history. But for those who remember the satisfying clunk of that rotary dial, it's a nostalgic trip back in time to a bygone era of telecommunications. Number 19. Smoking on airplanes. Fasten your seatbelts as we take a turbulent trip back to the era where the skies were filled with more than just clouds. They were thick with cigarette smoke. In the early days of air travel, the question wasn't just about your seat preference, but also whether you preferred smoking or non-smoking on your flight. Imagine it. The luxurious cabins of grand aircraft like the Boeing 747 transformed into floating lounges, with nearly half of the passengers admitted to being smokers. Smoking on airplanes wasn't just common. It was as routine as ordering a drink or enjoying a meal. The skies were a haven for tobacco enthusiasts, and the airplane was their domain. It wasn't until 1973 that the government finally stepped in, recognizing the need to regulate smoking in the air. Mandating designated smoking and non-smoking sections became the norm, offering a compromise for both those who indulged in a mid-flight puff and those who preferred to breathe clean air. Smoking or non-smoking? A question once asked of travelers when booking a seat on a plane. A relic of a bygone era that persisted until the year 2000, when the federal government finally pulled the plug on smoking on airplanes, banning it completely. Number 18. Looking up something in the encyclopedia. Before Google became our go-to guru for all things knowledge-related, there was the trusty encyclopedia, a set of books that held the key to unlocking information on just about anything. If you're a baby boomer, you probably have fond memories of flipping through the pages of these hefty tomes in search of wisdom. Picture this, a door-to-door salesman armed with volumes of encyclopedias, knocking on your family's door, offering a treasure trove of information. No internet, no smartphones, just a collection of books that opened up the world to curious minds. In those pre-digital days, reading an entry in an encyclopedia was a tactile experience. Instead of a quick tap on a screen, you'd grab another volume off the shelf, creating a physical connection with the information. The encyclopedias weren't just a source of knowledge, they were tangible repositories of facts and figures. Number 17. Clipping baseball cards to your bike spokes. Rev up those memories as we cruise down the nostalgia lane with a classic childhood activity that resonates with many baby boomers. The art of transforming your bicycle into a roaring symphony. If you were a kid in the good old days, chances are you've experienced the thrill of clipping baseball cards to your bike spokes. The purpose? Not just transportation, but auditory entertainment on wheels. Picture this, cruising down the street at breakneck speed, the wind in your hair, and the satisfying buzz created by the cards clicking against the spokes. It was like having your miniature motorcycle, and the noise was music to a kid's ears. Sure, it might have annoyed a few neighbors, but who could resist the allure of a makeshift two-wheeled orchestra? The tradition may have faded with time, but those who remember the joy of attaching cards with clothespins to their bikes recall a simpler, more carefree era of childhood. Number 16. Eating Swanson TV dinners. Ding ding! It's time to set the table with memories of culinary revolution that changed the way we dine, especially when TV became the center of our living rooms. Swanson TV dinners, a blast from the past that many baby boomers will fondly remember. Back in the day, these prepackaged meals weren't just a convenient option, they were a cultural phenomenon. The inception of Swanson TV dinners can be traced back to a surplus of Thanksgiving turkey leftovers, a whopping 260 tons of them. Enter Jerry Thomas, who drew inspiration from the compartmentalized aluminum trays used by Pan American Airways. The result, a Thanksgiving feast compacted into a frozen convenient tray. Turkey, cornbread stuffing, peas, and sweet potatoes all neatly separated. Swanson embraced the television craze and marketed these dinners as the perfect companions for your favorite shows. In the first year alone, more than 25 million TV dinners flew off the shelves, each priced at a modest 98 cents. Number 15. Waiting for the milkman to deliver to your house. Ah, the days of when the clinking of glass bottles signaled the arrival of a staple at your doorstep. Milk, delivered by the friendly neighborhood milkman. In the 1960s, around 30% of households still enjoyed the convenience of having milk brought directly to their homes. While it may seem like a quaint relic, some households even today continue this tradition. Picture a time when homes lacked the luxury of refrigeration. Milk, a perishable commodity, needed a daily delivery to ensure it stayed fresh for consumption. The iconic glass bottles not only made it easier for the milkman to navigate their rounds, but also helped dairy farms keep track of customer payments. The early morning routine of waiting for the milkman, the anticipation of fresh dairy delights, and the sound of those bottles being placed on your doorstep, it's a memory etched in the minds of many baby boomers. Number 14. Shopping at the five and dime store. Before the era of retail giants like Target, Amazon, and Walmart, there were the charming 5 and dime stores that dotted main streets across America. Woolworths, the pioneer of these stores in 1879, introduced the concept of fixed prices, drawing in crowds of eager shoppers. Imagine stepping into a world where you could buy almost anything, from household items to quirky novelties, all at affordable prices. Sebastian Kresch and John McCrory followed suit, opening their first version of the dime store in 1897, expanding quickly to 85 stores within 15 years. These stores were more than just shopping destinations. They were community hubs, offering a little something for everyone. Number 13. Watching the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Enter the world of Mary Tyler Moore, a television trailblazer who left an indelible mark on the small screen. Premiering on CBS in September 1970, The Mary Tyler Moore Show wasn't just a sitcom, it was a cultural phenomenon. Mary Tyler Moore herself made history by being one of the first women on TV to wear pants, a move considered scandalous at the time. The show's 7-year run was marked by its departure from traditional sitcom tropes. It distinguished itself with dynamic characters, unpredictable storylines, and a departure from the narrative, predictably, that often characterized the era's television. Mary Tyler Moore's portrayal of an independent, career-driven woman paved the way for a new era in television, challenging societal norms and inspiring countless viewers. Oh, how times have changed since the days of limited pants-wearing scenes. Number 12. Talking to an operator. The bygone era of telephones, when a simple act of making a call required human intervention. In the early days, people couldn't just dial a number directly. They needed the assistance of a telephone operator. Picture a central switchboard connected to subscribers' wires, with each phone in a locale linked to this hub. To make a call, you'd ring the exchange, and a friendly operator would answer. Number, please? The operator would inquire. You'd provide the name of the person you wish to speak to, and the operator would skillfully plug a patch cord into the corresponding socket on the switchboard, magically connecting your call. For long-distance calls, the process involved a series of connections through different exchanges. As telephone technology evolved, numbers were assigned to phones, and direct dialing became the norm. But there's a certain charm in reminiscing about those days of human connection facilitating our conversations. Number 11. Wanting to be as cool as Paul Newman. There was nothing cooler than Paul Newman to baby boomers. Forget the grocery store popcorn box. Newman was a legendary movie star, a race car driver, and a cyclist. He oozed a charisma that blended intelligence with good humor, and for many, he represented the pinnacle of cool. Blue-eyed and effortlessly stylish, Paul Newman wasn't just an actor, he was a multi-talented individual. Whether he was behind the wheel of a race car, creating salad dressings, or engaging in philanthropy and political activism, Newman exuded confidence without arrogance. He was the guy everyone wanted to be or be friends with, a testament to an era when stars were not just on the screen, but lived larger than life off camera as well. Number 10. Kinney Shoes. Step back into the shoe fashion of yesteryear with Kinney Shoes, once the reigning monarch of family chain shoe retailers in the United States. In 1936, it boasted a whopping 335 stores nationwide, making it the go-to destination for footwear. However, by the end of 1936, despite selling more shoes than in 1929, its dollar volume had dipped by 20% to 30%. Fast forward to August 31, 1963, and a significant chapter unfolds. The G.R. Kinney Company was acquired by F.W. Woolworth for $45 million. This marked the birth of the Kinney Shoe Corporation, a fully owned subsidiary of Woolworth, retaining its unique identity with its board of directors and corporate officers. The tales these shoes could tell, stepping through the fashion evolution of an era. Number 9. Bell-bottom pants. There's no denying the iconic fashion statement of the 70s, bell-bottom pants. Those flared jeans were more than just a garment. They were a symbol of rebellion and nonconformity, embraced by the hippies and bohemians of the era. With their wide hems that flared from the knee, bell-bottoms became synonymous with the counterculture movement that characterized the decade. Originally popularized in the 1960s, bell-bottoms made a triumphant return in the 70s, captivating both men and women alike. As young people sought to express their disillusionment with politics and society, the culture of rebellion found its voice and its fashion. Bell-bottoms, crafted from denim, colored satin, or polyester, became a defining emblem of the era, a sartorial expression of defiance and freedom. Number 8. Eating all kinds of weird Jell-O dishes. Imagine a gelatinous mixture featuring ham, salmon, lamb, or even cottage cheese, all suspended in a wobbly sea of Jell-O. Yes, you heard that right. In the 60s, people got creative with their gelatin, putting just about anything and everything into it. Thankfully, this bizarre culinary trend has faded into obscurity, relegated to the annals of culinary history. Post-World War II, gelatin became not just a kitchen staple, but a symbol of culinary ingenuity and resourcefulness. As food shortages and rationing ended, gelatin emerged as a versatile and convenient ingredient. perfect for creating elaborate molded dishes and eye-catching salads. While the Jell-O experiments of yesteryears may evoke a sense of culinary nostalgia, it is safe to say that some trends are better left in the past. Number 7. Watching the first season of SNL. Lights, camera, laughter. The stage was set for comedy history as Saturday Night Live made its debut on October 11, 1975, with none other than George Carlin as the inaugural host. Featuring a star-studded cast including comedic legends like Chevy Chase, John Belushi, and Gilda Radner, SNL burst onto the scene, forever altering the landscape of television comedy. The first season of Saturday Night Live, originally known as NBC's Saturday Night, introduced audiences to a groundbreaking blend of sketch comedy, musical performances, and irreverent humor. With its innovative format and daring content, SNL became a launching pad for the careers of countless comedians and actors, propelling them to stardom and securing its place in the pantheon of iconic television shows. And more than 4 decades later, SNL continues to entertain audiences with its sharp wit and comedic genius. Number 6. Disco Fever. Let's rewind to the groovy 1970s, where the world was swept up in disco fever. Disco music wasn't just a genre, it was a cultural phenomenon that dominated dance floors and continues to influence music today. Born in the discotheques of the 1960s, this club-oriented genre brought DJs to the forefront, setting the beat for nights of non-stop music and dancing. Disco wasn't just about the music, it was a lifestyle, marked by catchy beats, extravagant rhythms, and an elevated emphasis on sexuality. Originating in the underground clubs frequented by Black, Latino, and Italian Americans, disco quickly gained mainstream acceptance in both the USA and Europe. Drawing inspiration from funk, soul, and salsa, disco music was a rhythm-driven force that defined an era. In the 1970s and 80s, disco's infectious rhythms lit up dance floors worldwide, drawing on influences from funk, soul, African beats, and the burgeoning genre of psychedelia. Even today, its legacy echoes in popular music, reminding us of the vibrant nights when the dance floor was the center of the universe. Number 5. Looking up a number in the phone book. I love the old-fashioned phone book, the analog search engine of yesteryears. When you needed to make a call, you'd grab that hefty phone book and flip through its pages to find the elusive number you were after. From friends to restaurants and hotels, the phone book held the key to connecting with the world. Before the age of online directories and smartphone contacts, the phone book was a staple in every home and business. Updated annually, these weighty tomes were a repository of numbers for everything from muffler shops to the sanitation department. And admit it, finding yourself listed in the white pages was a small but satisfying victory. Number 4. Riding a banana seat bicycle. Imagine cruising down the street on a bike that looked more like a chopper than a traditional bicycle. Enter the banana seat bicycle, a symbol of coolness for kids in the 70s. With its high handlebars, smaller wheels, and that iconic banana seat, these bikes were the epitome of style for a generation. The evolution of banana seat bikes wasn't a mere accident, it was a reflection of kids' creativity. They began modifying basic bicycles, adding vibrant paint colors, chrome fenders, bigger handlebars, and those longer saddles that not only looked cool, but also made it easier to take a friend along for the ride. Forget spending the day surfing the internet. These bikes were the ticket to childhood adventures and camaraderie. Number 3. Watching black athletes protest the national anthem at the Olympics. Let's rewind to a defining moment in the sports and civil rights history of the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. Baby boomers vividly remember the iconic image of Tommy Smith and John Carlos, the first and third place winners in the 200-meter race, standing on the podium, fists raised in the Black Power salute. Their act of solidarity with oppressed black people worldwide reverberated far beyond the Olympic Stadium. Smith's words, "If I win, I am an American, not a black American," encapsulated the struggle for racial equality in the late 1960s. Their gesture, widely deemed a Black Power salute, was a deliberate and impactful response to the racial and political climate of the time. The consequences of their protest affected both their professional and personal lives for years, leaving an indelible mark on the fight for civil rights. Number 2. The signing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. For many baby boomers, the signing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by President Lyndon B. Johnson stands as a pivotal moment in American history. Though some may have been too young to remember the act's signing, they undoubtedly experienced its effects, witnessing the transformation of policies and the integration of schools, among other changes. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, a cornerstone of the civil rights movement, outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. President John F. Kennedy initially proposed it, overcoming fierce opposition from Southern members of Congress. Ultimately, President Johnson signed it into law, marking a significant step towards dismantling segregation and employment discrimination. Subsequent legislation, such as the Voting Rights Act of 1965, furthered the cause of civil rights in the years that followed. Number 1. Woodstock. Transport yourself back to the revolutionary era of the late 1960s and early 1970s, a time of war, racial tensions, and youth defiance against the government. In the midst of this tumultuous period, the Woodstock Music and Arts Festival emerged as a cultural milestone. Held in Bethel, New York from August 15th to the 18th, 1969, Woodstock was more than just a music festival. It was a cultural phenomenon that symbolized the political and social climate of the United States. Woodstock was a playground of counterculture, a space where thousands gathered to celebrate freedom, peace, and a sense of unity. Amidst the drugs, the free love, and the rock and roll, the festival became a focal point for anti-war sentiments. Musicians used their art as a powerful means of protest against the Vietnam War, creating an unforgettable moment in history that resonates with baby boomers to this day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed reliving these memories, don't forget to hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe for more blasts from the past. And hey, check out our other videos too. You might discover even more cherished moments. We'll see you in the next one.